Hey, welcome back to the Secret Underground Lair. So today, we're doing something a little different. Yesterday I had to run some errands, and one of the things that I wanted to do is with respect to this motor that I've got that drives our threaded rod on the Worktable Sawmill, I wanted to put a second motor on the other side. So yesterday went out and picked up another one of these little surplus window motors. It was $9.69 or something to that effect. And I 3D printed another bracket overnight. And that bracket will sit on here. So we'll take this guy off and put the motor on here and drive this side. The two motors are going to be connected still by the chain, so they'll operate in sync, but they'll just be able to help each other. One of the things I was a little concerned about is, would the two motors in fact operate with each other? So I have wired them up here, and you can see that this motor is going to spin. So that's now spinning the same direction as this motor is spinning. So I know that they're going to work off the speed controller the way I want. What I'll need to do is cut the shaft off, make another coupler. So I've cut off a chunk of steel, 1 inch round steel, round stock. And today, for the first time in I think ever, we're going to use the mill. That is today's adventure. Technically, I said we're using the mill. We're actually using the lathe here. But first operation is, and there's very simple operations today. What I'm going to do is just face off this surface here that we cut. And then we're going to drill a hole. I need a 5/16 hole all the way through. We're going to thread half of that. And then we're going to flip the piece around and drill a larger hole, closer to 1/2 inch, that will slip over the end of the motor shaft. And then we're going to drill a hole through that, kind of this way, through the piece, so that we can mount a grub screw to clamp onto the motor shaft. So first, let's start by facing that off. Fairly straightforward, and I'm happy with the surface we've got there. I'm just going to bring the tool up here and just put a little bit of a chamfer on that, just to knock off that very sharp edge. Great. Okay, now we'll get the drill out, put the drill in the chuck. I'm going to take this piece right off, and we'll get ready to drill that hole. So I'm starting with a very small hole, a 5/16, I think 5/32. We'll work up to the 5/16 that we want that's the right size for the tap that we're going to use to mill out that hole. And I'm going to be spraying on some WD-40. I know that's not truly cutting oil, but it works really well. And with this long nozzle, I have fantastic control of where that oil goes. So I kind of like using it for cutting. I had a hole drilled in this previously, and it appears the way this is set up, I'm not directly in the center. So I'm going to get my centering tool and fix that. I want to have this, I don't want the blade wobbling, the bit wobbling around like that. It'll break. Back in a sec. So here's the hole starting tool, the centering tool. This is a little bit overkill. Don't usually start holes with one this big, but since I've already started on that 5/32, I do want to come in with this to kind of get that back on center. That'll do the job. All right, drill bit's back in. Let's go after this hole now. We are getting no wobbling on the bit, so we've done the right job. There we are, we've broken through the other side. Okay. So I'm just going to go up one more bit size, and then we'll get to the 5/16. So this will be a 3 pass operation on this hole. Be back when I have the next bit in place. I'm now ready with a 1/4-inch bit. A little bit of oil on that. And away we go. So we'll now move up to our 5/16 bit and drill the final hole so that we can then tap it. So next operation, we're going to take the piece out, we'll flip it around, face it off, and then we're going to drill in a little way, a size that'll slip over the shaft of the motor. Okay, so I'm back on with the tool holder. I'm just going to face this piece off, and then put a little chamfer on the edge. Okay, that's now suitable for our hole, which is going to be 7/16, but I'm going to make that in 2 passes. First is just a 64th less than that, then run through the 7/16 just to kind of get it finished off. So take this tool post back off and then we'll make 2 more holes. Okay, got a bit put in there. You can see, I'll try and zoom in here, but I put a little Sharpie mark on this bit where I want to stop. This is all kind of ish. It doesn't have to be precise. I'm not needing to use calipers or anything for this, but I just want to go in about half the distance of this piece, and that will be where we can put a grub screw and have good purchase on the shaft of the motor. All right, now we'll move up just that last bit, get our final size. And we're done. But before I take that piece off the lathe, I'm going to take the motor shaft and just slip it in there, make sure that we have it the right diameter. So I take my motor and just put the shaft in there. I'm not going in, and I went back and checked my to get the next size drill bit, and I noticed that actually I have to go 2 sizes up because I've marked this one 2 sizes up as well. So put this one in, and then that'll make our final cut. Okay, here we go. Last cut, I'm hoping. Let's see how the motor fits in there. Yep, that's what we're looking for. That fits in. It's actually a little bit loose, but I'm okay with that. The grub screw is going to tighten that right up. And again, I'm not looking for a super precision fit. So when I put this shaft in, first the shaft is going to be cut off. I'm going to grind a flat spot on it. And when that goes in with the grub screw here, the grub screw comes down on the flat spot of the shaft and we're good. So you can tell, I hope by now, that I'm not a machinist. There are lots of good machinists out there for sure. I urge you to check out their channels. But this is letting me get the job done. That's what I'm after. So here is our piece. A small hole on this end, suitable for tapping. Hole on this end, big enough to accept the motor shaft. So we'll thread this, and we're going to flatten off a little bit here. I'm just going to use a grinder for that. I could use the mill, but that's a big operation that a grinder will do really quickly. Then we're going to drill a hole through there that'll accept, and tap it, that'll accept a grub screw to hold it onto the motor shaft. Grinding and drilling of this will be done on the drill press, and this we'll put in the vise and just tap it. Okay, got our piece mounted here in the vise. Just going to apply some of my favorite cutting fluid. I made 2 turns already, so I have a start. So nicely threaded. We'll have that'll screw onto the end of our threaded rod on the Worktable Sawmill, the lead screw, and we'll have a jam nut up against that. Now I'm going to flatten this off with the grinder, and then we'll drill a hole in here and tap that for a grub screw. So the flatness that I'm putting on here is simply to provide a place where the drill bit can get purchased. It's hard to drill a hole directly on a round surface. It can be done, but I'm just going to flatten that off a little bit. It just makes life a lot easier. Just a little flat there. Now I can get a drill bit to sit on top of that. We'll put a center punch on it, and then we can drill that out. I'll be using quite likely a 1/4 inch thread on that, 1/4 20 for that grub screw. Over to the drill press. Okay, we've got a 5/64 bit in the chuck. That's the size we need to tap a 1/4 20 hole. So let's go. All right, back to the bench vise and we'll tap that hole. So there is our coupler made. Just slightly under 1/2 inch shaft for the motor, tap so we can clamp onto it, and a 3/8 inch thread to go onto our lead screw on the Worktable Sawmill. So next thing is I'm going to cut off the shaft on the motor and grind a little flat spot on that. And then we're ready to reassemble onto the saw itself. So I have the motor and the vise. I put some tape over where I want to cut this off. Again, this is just kind of an ish measurement. It's not a firm thing. And now I'm just going to use the same cutoff wheel just to grind a little flat spot for a grub screw to hang on to. Bring in for a closer look at that. So the shaft cut off. Good flat spot here. That's warm. And our coupler is just going to sit over top of that. Grub screw will go right down onto that flat spot and keep it in place. Okay, we are pretty much ready to put this onto the Worktable Sawmill. And that's the grub screw that I'm going to be using. Just a little bolt cut off that'll do the task. I already have a new motor mounted on the second lead screw. So got first motor over here. He's ready to go. That's always been there. The second lead screw is on, so I'm going to turn it on. First we're going to plug it in, and we'll see how it works. Let's give this a little test. And then we are running, both motors turning, working at maximum speed. I think that'll make life easier for all systems here. I have to get the wires, of course, tidied up. And I'm going to put some on this motor. We'll get some little protection over the wires there. But that's it. A dual drive. There we are. One motor there. One motor there. Our dual drive Worktable Sawmill. I think that's going to help things a lot. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.